Hi everyone, welcome to the Forward Chess YouTube channel. I'm Women International Master Charlize van Zyl, and for years now, we've been running a series where I interview authors with books on the Forward Chess platform. Today, I'll be speaking to Grandmaster Daniel King. Daniel King has been one of chess's greatest communicators for over 3 decades. Grandmaster, commentator, and award-winning author. Daniel has 3 books on Forward Chess: How Good Is Your Chess, King's Kalashnikov, and King's Anti-Sicilians for Black, which you can find in the link below. So let's get to know him a little bit, learn about his methodology and his years in chess. Stay tuned. Daniel, thank you for joining us today at Forward Chess.
Lovely to be here. Nice to see you. We haven't really chatted much, have we? Oh, I know we've our paths have crossed, but we haven't. We haven't had much of a chat before.
Yeah, and growing up, my dad always had your DVDs, so I knew about you way before. So it was great to cross paths in London at some point.
Great, yeah.
And talking about that, you have worked across really every chess learning platform, right? You've done DVDs, online courses, books, you name it. What has stayed the same about good chess teaching throughout all of these?
Oh, wow. Yes, yes, I'm sort of jack of all trades, master of none, basically. What does they say? Right, I have to think about that. Hang on a second. Okay, I would say clear explanation.
Yeah.
You know, you have to think of your audience very carefully. And my audience isn't professionals. So I have in mind, club players, improvers, people that want to really understand something. So I always, whatever medium I'm using and recording on, I'm trying to break things down into manageable parts. So I think that's what stays the same, basically.
Yeah. You do have a way of talking to the audience in like English, let's say, not just chess, so that they can understand. I think that's great.
Yes, it's not just analysis. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, and we need that in this day and age with a lot more people starting chess and starting from zero. So I think that's amazing. You also have a specific methodology in your teaching. In your books, I've seen, you pose questions to the reader. You make them question the position. Tell me a bit more about that.
You see, this is really interesting. I didn't realize I did that. I didn't realize I had a methodology, but clearly I do. But I mean, there's this article that I've been writing for many, many years called "How Good Is Your Chess?"
Yeah.
And that's a monthly article it goes out in Chess Magazine, but also in Germany in Schach 64. And so readers have to try to predict the next move of the game.
Yeah.
And so I'm posing questions all the way through that. So maybe that's rubbed off into my other works as well. So yeah, it's a way of engaging the reader, basically, or the viewer, depending on what medium we're using. So yeah. I mean, that's, of course, incredibly important. And, when I was growing up, I used to do these test games myself. So, maybe it's something that's, just in there already, basically. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Is this how you learn chess yourself or study chess yourself? Before technology, before all of that, going through the game, stopping at important moments and just questioning the plans and what's happening here?
Certainly, yeah. Well, yes, I grew up with books, which is perhaps rather unusual for a lot of kids who are learning today that access their information online. Through videos. But yeah, I mean, the first books that came into the house were there was a book, a sort of general book on chess by an English player, one of the strongest English players in the 1940s, 50s, a chap called Harry Golombek. And then I got Alekin's Best Games and Bobby Fischer's 60 Memorable Games, of course. So yes, I would play through games, let's say Alekin's games. And, that was really exciting because for me, it harks back to an earlier age. I think how I fell in love with chess was that you went back to the 1920s, 1930s, and even earlier, and there was, even just on the printed page, there's such an atmosphere that was created by Alekin. For example, although he didn't go too much, didn't tell much of a story about who he was playing. There's a little bit of that. But just these names, Znosko-Borovsky, Steinitz, Lasker, and Alekin and his opponents, Nimzovich, this brought up a different age. And I found that just so intriguing at the age of 10, 11. That was amazing to me. And I felt like I was discovering this secret world that nobody else knew about. I didn't grow up in a chess playing household. I mean, my parents played, but not seriously at all. And my brother played, they taught us. But there was no one who explained about chess history. I didn't grow up with, some kind of mentor who said, oh, yes, you must know about Spassky or whatever. So, when I was reading these old books, I just found that absolutely fascinating, that I was discovering this world that no one else knew about.
Yeah.
At least no one in my circle knew about. When I was going to school, when I was 11, 12 years old, and I was in this old world, and, no one I was mixing with at school understood this kind of thing at all.
Yeah.
So I found that, I discovered a new world, an old world, but a new world, basically, to me.
Okay.
I can't remember what your question was, but that's I've gone off on a tangent. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but I like this tangent because it's quite interesting. You mentioned so many names, even normal chess viewers, they know the big names, like you say, Spassky, Alekhine. But you do a lot of name dropping in your books, which I absolutely love, because it shows that you're so rich with knowledge. You've done your research, and now hearing this backstory, you've been doing that your whole life, really, in chess.
I suppose so. I didn't realize I was a name dropper.
Yeah.
Is it that bad? Oh, yes, the time I met Mikhail Botvinnik. Yes, we were such close friends.
Well, not just in relation to
Don't do it like that.
This person, yeah. But I'm like, I know chess players and I know the big names, but sometimes as a name I kind of have heard, I'm like, who is that? And I just go to research. I'm like, wow, okay. Such an interesting person. And you just know so much about chess on and off the board. I think that makes you really interesting as an author. And of course, a personality in chess and media.
I think, when I was, a professional player and researching openings, I always found it much easier to understand an opening if I could see who were the great exponents of an opening. And so it gives you a peg to hang variations on, in a way. So that, I know that game. So Fischer won a beautiful game with that line. Yeah. And that gives you a story about the opening and helps you to put it in context. So I always try to do that with my books. So I'll have, for example, in the Kalashnikov and the Anti-Sicilians book, I'll have a first section which just is model games.
Yeah.
Because I never learnt an opening by going, oh yes, variation, 321 paragraph A, variation B. I don't know about you, But
No.
I never learned openings like that.
No.
I learned openings through discovering an amazing game and thinking, I could do that.
Yeah.
And that's a starting point. And then you fill in the details, basically.
Yeah.
So I think it really helps.
With the names, I also noticed you also have kind of memory markers within the kind of ideas, when pushing like the assault, something like that, like pushing forward or where your bishop's going to go, dropping back. I thought that was really interesting as well. You, of course, are kind of teaching chess in a way that it's like, I'm not just memorizing the moves, I'm remembering the ideas, which every grandmaster tells you to do, right, when you're learning an opening, but that's not always the easiest. So you consciously put an effort to do this in your teaching, in your books.
Definitely, yeah. Because, I mean, frankly, if someone has a photographic memory and can reproduce everything that's in the book, well, fantastic. That's wonderful. But yeah. I certainly don't have a photographic memory. My memory is good, but I'm not, it's not photographic. So, in the heat of battle, it gets to that point where you go, hang on, what was the line? I don't know. Well, you've got to be able to understand the ideas.
Yeah.
And so, I give hooks basically for example, in the Kalashnikov, things like, the one you were thinking of, I think, was Liberation Station.
Yes.
Just give it a hook, basically. Yeah. So when I'm pushing the D pawn, in the Sicilian, of course, this is the classic freeing advance in so many variations, whether it's the Najdorf, the Sveshnikov, the Scheveningen, and so many lines. And D5 can just, explode the position. And in the Kalashnikov, it's a very, really important move. And there are other things like the Trojan horse, when the knight jumps into D4. Incredibly important motif in the Kalashnikov. It's actually very, very common. Either it sits there beautifully, or it gets taken and you give up a pawn, but that opens up all these dark squares.
Yeah.
So yes, I like to give hooks because it just makes it so much easier to remember the broad strategies.
Yeah.
When you're playing an actual game.
I think along with the hooks, what I've noticed, so I've been just analyzing you to the depths in your teaching ways, but you're also very I want to say emotive. You add a lot of kind of passion to the words that you're saying. For example, like in your text, but also I was watching your Norway chess recap of the Magnus and Keimer game, and after A3, you said you absolutely did not like that move. Like, I could tell in your face how, you felt it, you're not just saying words, you really mean that. And that's kind of these things, I think, as a reader, as a viewer, they stay with you, and make you remember more, make you even get into the material that you're teaching.
Well, in spite of chess engines providing some kind of objective assessment of positions, to the 100th digit, actually, chess is still a human game, and actually, it's a very subjective game. So I think about chess in a particular way based on my experience, and not everyone will share my view.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But that's what makes chess as a human game very interesting, because just like in a court of law, where you have, the accused, and there's a prosecuting barrister and a defense barrister, well, they'll be sparring against each other. There is a truth there, but you have to find it with the arguments, and that's just like playing a game of chess. So that, you mentioned these little pawn moves at the side of the board. So, H6 and A3. Against Ali Reza. It was against Ali Reza.
Yes,
yes. Yeah, but A3. Yeah, but okay, I mentioned this quite a lot. So in the game that Magnus just lost in the first round.
Yeah.
yeah, as I say, there's a special place in hell for
Yes,
players that make these little pawn. I call
you
them
said that.
donkey's ears.
Hmm.
Yeah, Eselsöhrchen, as they say in German. These little pawn moves at the side of the board, because now the top guys can get away with this.
Hmm.
You know, I'm not criticizing Magnus as a player, or Ali Reza. Well, I would be very foolish to do that.
Hmm.
But in general, and I'm sure you've seen this yourself, amateurs have a tendency to play these very safe moves, these little pawn moves at the
Yeah.
side of the board in the opening, and it wastes time. Every move in the opening counts. If you know what you're doing, if you're some of the strongest players in the world, you can get away with it. But for most mortals, I'm afraid I can't tolerate these little pawn moves,
Yeah.
because they so often waste time.
They're going against opening principles, right? Like you're trying to teach a 7-year-old the best way to open up the game, and moving your little pawn is like least priority. So
Exactly.
does this affect your, or does it make it difficult in your writing, in your videos, trying to get to the audience, showing them games like from top players, when the top players are making such moves that you disagree with, or just kind of try to avoid those games altogether?
They set a bad example. No, I don't avoid them, but it gives everyone on my YouTube channel, it gives everyone a chuckle when, you know, like I said, you know, Magnus plays this move and everyone goes, ah! So they're not bad, you know.
Yeah.
I go, oh, what could I do? You know, I give up.
Yeah.
I think the message is clear, you know. No, I don't avoid games like that, you know.
Yeah.
Not at all. You know, it's just frustrating sometimes when the big guys break the rules, but they know when and how. That's all.
You need to know the rules in order to break them.
Yeah.
So get to Magnus's level, then you can play H6 on like move 3.
Exactly. Yeah.
And talking about, you know, learning chess books, reading chess books, engaging with chess material online, especially with openings, going back to Kalashnikov, and you know, memorizing out of the equation. You also mentioned in the book that, you know, with Chessable, there's this gamification of learning openings, which is great in this technological age. But you also seem to lean towards more old school books. Tell me about that.
Old school. Well, I mean, you know, I have courses on Chessable, and you know, I write books as well. I mean, I wouldn't say I lean towards one or the other. You know, some people prefer to learn with one medium rather than another. I mean, actually, I think combining the two is actually really good, because with Chessable, fine, you can sort of do a deep dive into variations, but actually, you know, when you have a solid book in your hand and you see how the chapters are laid out, I think you get a really good overview from a book, which actually I don't think, well, you do get it online, but it's just different. But I think, you know, in 2 seconds, you can flip to a chapter and you can in a book, and you can see where it fits in context.
Yeah.
Whereas just a digital version of an open, I think it's, again, this is very personal. I think it's harder to get an overview. So I know a lot of students who've got the Chessable course and the book as well, and they find it very helpful. There you go. I'm trying to sell 2 products at the same time, Charlize. This is
Well, to your point, I mean, we've got the book digitally on Forward Chess, and it kind of combines best of both worlds in what you're saying, and being able to get an overview of the whole book, flick between chapters, and kind of see everything laid out as it's meant to. But with the addition of having a digital chessboard right there, with engine analysis where you can make comments and all of that. So would you say that's kind of a good intersection of the two?
Yeah, absolutely. And well, you know, you can use whatever platform you want to. I mean, software as well, whether it's ChessBase or whether you look at stuff on Lee Chess or, you know, whatever. And so, people feel more comfortable with one or the other. So, I use ChessBase a lot, just because I've grown up with that. I know others who prefer Lichess or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I always think, as I said, we still play a very human game because we're not using computers to compete against each other. One hopes not. But it's good to check variations with a computer if you understand it well. I mean, the function that I find very useful in whatever platform you're using is using a reference database. So not the actual chess engine, but to go back into the history of an opening. And, well, like I was talking about with older books, and you discover, oh, yes, well, Bronstein played this in the 1950s. Okay, how did he play it? Because people play in a different style.
Yeah.
Or how did Spassky play that? And I find that fascinating. And I don't think the way that I prepared, when I was a professional in the 80s and 90s, in many ways, I would, even now with chess engines, I would prepare in a similar way. I would still go to a player first and see, because they can give me different ideas instead of just a snapshot on one position. It's the flow of the game, which I think is incredibly important to see a full strategy, basically.
Essentially looking at model games before getting into the details, which your books do.
Yeah, I'm coming back to that again. Yeah, but I do think, this was always recommended. Pick a hero. So, for example, when I was learning the Queen's Gambit in my professional days, so I picked Spassky and Vaganyan. These were fantastic exponents of the Queen's Gambit declined. They played just brilliantly. And I picked up so many ideas from them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I would still advocate that method of learning an opening. You could do a sort of database dump in a book, but it's just, some mediums, some platforms will give you a different aspect to learning an opening than another. And, book gives you one method, Chessable gives you another, and so on, basically.
And what do you think is a mistake that players, particularly club players, make when they're learning from chess books, when they're going through chess books?
To get into the detail too quickly, but also just to have a go, just to play an opening, and I think that's really important. So that there's no need to read a whole book before you start an opening. Inevitably, there'll be setbacks. That's absolutely normal for all of us. But I think the important thing is you never really understand something unless you try it out.
Yeah.
And so you try out an opening and then you go back and research it. And that's the moment, actually, to look into Chessable and the book and think, I played there. Okay, why did I play there? Well, because it was that I thought this. And then you compare it with what's actually said in the book. And that's a really good learning method. So, theory is very grey and very dry. As soon as you try stuff out, I'm sure, you know this yourself, that you learn so much from playing a game. Because suddenly, when the wolf is at the door and there's someone opposite you, you're suddenly thinking, oh, God, that looks really dangerous. What the hell do I do?
Did I see this? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you go back and compare and with actual theory. And I think that's really important. So I would say don't be afraid just to try stuff out. Yeah. And inevitably there'll be reverses. But that's kind of completely normal. But that shouldn't put people off, basically.
And what if you're trying stuff out, you're playing your games online, you kind of have some knowledge of your opening, but you either get to a position where you kind of blank or you're just unsure. I know a lot of people try to go back to what they've memorized, what they've learned, and then sometimes you're playing a move that was correct in a different variation, but not in this one. So what would you suggest should be like the stop and think? What should the thought pattern be in those scenarios?
Oh golly, I'm going to slightly go back on what you said there, because onto my last answer, because actually just thinking about trying stuff out. I mean, obviously, one can get a lot of practice online, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting for the next over the board game. However, I would say I don't think it's really very valuable just playing blitz games. I think the slower the time control, the better.
Yeah.
So, and of course, when you're playing randomly online, then it's difficult to get the opening you want.
Yeah.
so I think, I know a lot of players that have a sparring partner.
Okay.
And they'll say, okay, right, today we're going to play my opening. We play, let's say, a half an hour game and take it seriously. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Now, to your question about what do you do when you're not sure? Well, we all get to that point in the game. It's normal. Embrace it, basically. I think that's what people have to get used to. It's okay. The openings are a starting point.
Yeah.
But every experience you have, or one has, then it is just really valuable. Yeah. But also, the other thing about playing online is to play one game and stop and research it. Otherwise,
you're in this loop, another game. Yeah.
Exactly. You've been there. I've been there.
We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly.
But funny enough, this happened to me about, a few months ago. I recently started playing E5. So I'm still getting to know the lines. There's a million things. And I was playing against a kid, so this kind of makes it worse, right? I'm playing against a kid. And it
definitely makes it worse.
Yeah, he goes into a very sharp fried liver. And there's so much theory in it. If you know, you know. But I just got to a point I was like, I'm not entirely sure what to do, and I cannot lose to this kid right now. So I got very anxious in the whole thing. It kind of put me off of trying a new opening. What advice would you give to a few months ago, Charlize, kind of going through that?
Oh golly, well, I'm sort of repeating myself. Try not to let those reverses put you off. But did you go back and take a look at the variation?
Yes,
and think,
I won the game.
What should I have done?
I played correctly though, but sometimes as chess players, your thoughts just get overwhelming during the game when it's really a simple situation. But yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, because I went through all of it afterwards. I'm like, I cannot be tricked and fried liver again. I need to see this and not get into the situation.
Okay, that sounds great. Perfect. Basically, well done. I wish we all had that kind of maturity.
Yeah, but a lot of viewers, I think,
it's difficult.
It's difficult.
Yeah, I just think that we can't help losing, but if one just goes into those kind of training games with the right attitude, then I think that's really important. I can think of games where I've lost horribly. Over the board games. I'm not just talking about online stuff. I remember I waited 15 years to get an improvement in. I lost. There was a game I played against Murray Chandler, who was a very strong English player, and it was in 1990, and I lost a game to him. And at the time, I said, "Oh God," it was horrible. And then it took me a couple of years to actually go back and research the variation. I think I just abandoned the opening in disgust because I lost very badly.
Never again.
Yeah, but actually that whole never again attitude is really poor. And actually, after a couple of years, I went back and researched it because I thought, okay, this might crop up again. Maybe I should give it a try. And sure enough, yeah, there was actually a decent way to play the position. And 15 years later, I got the same opening, and it worked very well, and I won a game.
Wow.
So the research, it really pays off.
Mm.
Really does.
Yeah, that's a really nice message, I think, of like not giving up or not allowing these mistakes or these moments to kind of put you off learning,
Yeah.
exploring new openings.
Yeah, definitely. But also, when in the openings that I played, I specialized against D4, so I specialized with the Sicilian. And I started out with the Kalashnikov as black, and back in those days it was called the Löwenthal. But then I moved on to the Sveshnikov, and then I moved on to the Najdorf. But I mixed them up as well. They all have the same pawn structure, basically.
Yeah.
Pawn on D6, pawn on E5. Not always. The Najdorf, you can be more flexible, but the Kalashnikov and the Sveshnikov have pawn on E5, pawn on D6. And even though I was changing Sicilian variation, strategy can be very, very similar. If you have a fixed pawn structure, that it helps you determine strategy, basically.
Yeah.
And, I like that very much. Pawn structure determines strategy. It's one of the big things that I say, basically.
And you have familiarity with the position, with the pawn structure,
Exactly.
so you can go between them. Okay, but Kalashnikov is a good start, you suggest. In your books too, you said club players, this is a good beginning.
Because if white goes for an open Sicilian, you're guaranteed to get the variation. It's as simple as that. Whereas, with other Sicilian variations, there is far more theory.
Yeah.
There are different kinds of pawn structure. Whereas the Kalashnikov, bang, you've got an E5 and you've got your opening. Yeah. And your pawn goes to D6 and that's that. Whereas the Najdorf, that is very complex. And although I've advocated that in the past, it's really nuanced. I think as one's first Sicilian, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
And the Sveshnikov is also, I don't know, do you play the Sicilian at all?
No, I just played Sicilian Dragon when I was a kid because I loved how aggressive it was, but no.
Yeah. It's got a good name. I know. It was played in England, or still is played in England a great deal. But I think part of that is you've got to sell the opening. And if something's called the Dragon, we all love a dragon.
Yeah.
It sounds great, doesn't it? Yeah, of course, I want to play with a dragon. So, okay, that's also why I like the Sveshnikov and the Kalashnikov.
Yeah.
They're just great names. But they are, sound openings as well. But yeah, it's more to do with the structure than anything else. That's what I find appealing.
So Daniel, I have one final question before we let you go. You've had such a long career with so many things that you've been doing in the chess world. There's even a Reddit appreciation post of you. I don't know if you've seen that, but the fans absolutely love you.
Oh dear, that sounds a bit cringy.
All good things, all good things. Okay. What are you proudest of in your chess career?
Oh golly. I tend to move on. I don't do that kind of, I think I was very good at that. Oh golly.
A book, a series, even like, I don't know, tournament victory or a video. You've had amazing performing videos as well.
Okay, tournament victory. Thank you. Two things very quickly. Winning, there was a big open tournament in Kolkata, as it's now called. Calcutta was then. I won this big open tournament and I beat Vichy on the way. So that was a highlight. And I was treated so wonderfully there. It was just a wonderful experience. Another one, playing for England and beating the Soviet Union you won't remember what the Soviet Union is. You won't know what,
I took
you
history
know what
in
the Soviet
school.
Union.
Yeah.
Exactly, but it's still history for you.
Yeah.
Whereas it was a reality for me, and of course, as we know, the Soviet chess school. So basically, England beat the Soviet Union in one match, and I won my particular game in that match, beating Sergei Dolmatov, and so that was a highlight. And one thing not to do with playing. So I write this monthly column called "How Good Is Your Chess?" I mean, this shows I'm a complete dinosaur. So I've been writing. I'm not even going to tell you how long I've been writing this, but I do it every month, and it's like a real discipline. And I'm really proud of that. I've stuck at it over so many years.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't. It's become a real discipline for me, and I still take enormous trouble over writing that article. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I still really enjoy doing it and featuring a game, basically.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. I think sticking to what you love to do and putting the effort in, it's reaping rewards. Even your YouTube channel's really like 14 years now that it's been running, maybe longer. And I mean, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. You're putting in the work, reaps the results.
Yeah. I think I'm doing something wrong, though, because clearly the algorithms don't think much of my work because I don't get the views. But yeah, I get enough. I found a niche, let's put it like that.
Yes. And you found your audience who seem to really love you.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope we can chat again soon. There's a lot more I'd like to ask you about your books. But yeah, thank you for joining us at Forward Chess.
Thanks, Charlize. It was a pleasure.